DreAllDay.com.
You're now listening to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, I'm gonna give you a little bit more. You're gonna get the personal initiative that moves me, you, and everyone else out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one package. What you get is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the show known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is do not lower the bar. The worst thing you can do when you are looking to surround yourself with people, whether that means you're building some type of team, sports team, business team, circle of friends, if you're running a company and you're looking for employees to hire, if you are any other group that you could be putting together, any type of group you put together and you're looking for people to be involved in that group, doesn't matter who, where, what, how. If you are selling a product and you're looking for people to sell your product to, anything that involves finding people, targeting people and gathering them around what you're doing, anytime you're doing this, the worst thing you can do is lower your standards just so that you can cast a wider net of people. This is a very, very bad decision to make, and I am heretofore forbidding you from making this decision. Never ever lower the bar to allow for more people to make it, so to speak, into whatever it is you have going on. What you should do instead, this is the argument that I'm making here today, is work harder at finding people who can and will meet whatever requirements you decide to set. Now, you do need to figure out what your requirements are, what the bar is, what the standards will be, and then you need to do the work that will allow you to find those people. Do not ever, the topic again today is do not ever lower the bar just so you can get more action, so you can get more activity, so you have more people around, or you're casting a wider net, or you're giving yourself more options. Do not do that. All right, and I'm gonna explain to you exactly why here today. Point number one. Here's a saying that you should remember. When you raise the bar, and when I say the bar, we're talking standards here for those who didn't catch on. When you raise the bar, what you do is eliminate all the worthless people. They will be eliminated automatically because the standards have gone up. So anybody who's worthless, they won't be able to meet that standard. You know they won't meet it. They know they won't meet it. They will excuse themselves from the situation because the bar is so high. All right, you won't even have to get rid of them. All right, you won't even have to fire employees when you raise the standards. They will fire themselves. Okay, that's what happens when you raise the bar. Let me tell you what happens when you lower the bar, though, because you need to know both sides of the equation. When you lower the bar, you lose all the good people. All the exceptional people, like we talked about last week. To be good means to be acceptable. To be great means to be exceptional. When you lower the bar from great to good, so before you only accepted greatness, but now you'll accept a little bit of good, you'll accept a little bit of acceptableness, and not just exceptionality, if that's a word. If that's not a word, and I just created it. Think about it. When standards are really high in any group, organization, whatever, when your standards are really, really high, the people who earn their way in, they take pride in the fact that not everybody can get into this group. They take pride in the fact that there's some exclusivity in what they're a part of because the bar is so high. They know that everybody else knows that not everybody can get in here. Not everybody can come into this room because the standards are so high. That is very valuable for the people who are in the room. But understand at the same time, if and when you lower the bar, let's say the standards were high, but then you lower those standards down because you just need more people, or you feel like maybe the standards are too high, or whatever reasoning you have for lowering the bar, and it's a mistake no matter what the reason is. When you do that, what happens is the high quality people that were really proud of the fact that they were the ones that were part of this in group, now what they earned, their spot in the group, it's lost its value. They still have their spot in the group, but it doesn't mean anything anymore. The value has gone down simply because you've allowed the standards to be lowered. Now people who are not as good as them will be allowed to get in. Now they're looking at themselves and they're looking at these people that you let in, and they're saying, okay, if these people can get in, being here doesn't mean as much as it used to mean. Doing something here isn't as valuable as it used to be because the bar has been lowered. It's lost its value. And what those people will do, those high quality people, they're going to leave your group and they're going to find someplace else that values high quality people. I mean, that's just what it is. I'll tell you a story. When I was in college and playing basketball in college, I went to a Division III school called Penn State Altoona. I had some teammates that I saw, some players who had come before me and some players who came a little bit after me who had put up really impressive statistics playing college basketball at our Division III school. I'm talking guys who would average close to or more than 20 points per game. Maybe they averaged double figures in rebounds. They had put up really good stats. They had made the all-conference teams and things like that. And I'm looking at these people and I'm thinking to myself, because I'm a college student at this time, so I don't know much about pro basketball. I knew I wanted to play, but I didn't know anything about it. I'm looking at these people's performances in college and I'm thinking, man, with them performing like that in college, they should get plenty of opportunities to play at the professional level, simply because look at the stats that they put up at the school. These are impressive stats. You average this kind of numbers in the NBA, you make $100 million. So they should probably get some good opportunities to play pro. What happened though was none of these players who I saw put up these really impressive stats playing college ball in my school, none of them had anyone knocking on their door to play pro basketball. And even when they tried to play, they weren't able to get their feet in the door. They weren't able to sign a contract. They didn't get a chance to play any pro basketball whatsoever. Which told me one thing. It told me that the way that the pro basketball world looked at the school that I came from was that the bar was so low, or the level that we were playing at, because we weren't playing against ourselves, right? We played against other teams at the D3 level. I assume this is a story that I put together in my mind. Like we talked about in yesterday's episode, how we put stories together. This is a story that I came up with. That pro teams around the world will look at our schedule and look at our league and look at the level that we were playing at and say, yeah, you did average player X, you did average 22 points a game here at that school, but the bar is so low for anybody to get on the team in this league. The bar is so low for anybody to say they played at this school or at this level that it doesn't really mean anything that you scored 22 points a game, because who were you scoring on? Were you scoring on anybody who could actually play? And my story, again, this is all the story that I made up in my mind, that these pro teams are looking at players from my level and saying, you are not doing what you're doing against anybody who's good. So just because you have great stats doesn't mean it's worth anything. All right, the bar is too low there. However, at the same time, as I got out of school, my first year or two out of school, I spent a lot of time looking at pro basketball websites where you can look up stats and see where players who were signing contracts, what countries they were going to, where they had played in college, what stats they had put up in college. And I would look these things up. And at the same time, this is what I would see. This is the part that was crazy. I would see players who went to Division I schools like North Carolina, Duke, Georgia Tech. Those are Division I schools, the ones that most of you have heard of when it comes to college basketball. And they wouldn't have impressive stats. Their stats would be meager. I would see players who had played at some school that I knew about the school. I knew the names of many of the players on the teams. And there'd be players signing pro contracts to play overseas who I never even heard of from a really big school. And I'm like, I never even heard of that dude. He played at North Carolina when? I never even heard of him. And I look up his stats. He had sat on the bench the whole time. 4 years sat on the bench at North Carolina, but he was getting an opportunity to play professional basketball. And I'm like, how is that some guy could average 2 points at a D1 school and get a job overseas, but a guy could average 20 points at a D3 school and not even get a look to play overseas? How is that possible? Here's the reason. The pro teams, again, this is just my assumption, the story that I made up, that the pro teams were looking at the D1 guy and saying, yeah, he scored 2 points a game, but he scored 2 points a game in a place where the standards are very high to even get on a team. This other guy, you scored 20-something points a game. Yes, you did score 20, but you scored 20 in a place where the bar is so low, the barriers to entry are so low that we're not really impressed by your stats. So this told me one thing. No matter what I do in college at this D3 school, as long as I'm here at this D3 school, no matter what I achieve on the court here, it doesn't have any effect on whether I'm going to make it into the pros or not. So whether my stats are amazing, whether my stats are meager, whether I have no statistics at all, it doesn't matter, because the pro teams are looking at us as the bar is so low, you're not proving anything. So I knew by the time I got out of college that in order for me to get an opportunity in the pros, I couldn't go to any pro team and say, I played at this D3 school, look what I did, because I could tell by the examples of these players that I just told you, they didn't respect it. It didn't do anything. It didn't move the needle for anybody. As So I learned from those examples and said, all right, I got to go to this thing that we call an exposure camp, which is a job fair for athletes. I got to play against other players who hopefully they play somewhere where the bar is a little bit higher, or at least hopefully the pro teams that I want to impress see my performance at the exposure camp as more credible than my performance at a Division III school. And luckily I was right. Luckily I made a correct assumption. And when I performed at an exposure camp and did well, it mattered a whole lot more to my career than when I performed at a Division III school and did whatever it is that I did. I did well some games, not so well some other games, not playing at all at other times. But this is all about how high or low that bar is and how people were looking at me based on where I was doing what I was doing. I was the same player at the D3 school that I was at the exposure camp that I was playing overseas. I couldn't go to anyone after I had gotten out of my Division III college and said, hey, I played at this Division III college. Nobody would be impressed by that. You played at a Division III college. It's like, so the bar is so low for that. Who cares? Now, once I had gone to an exposure camp and done my thing, then I could say, hey, I went to this exposure camp and did my thing. Now, a lot of people still didn't care about that, but a few people did. A few more people gave a damn about what I did at the exposure camp than who gave a damn when I played at that D3 school. When I played at that D3, I couldn't even get an agent to return my phone calls or emails. But when I went to that exposure camp, and now I got a scouting report that's written by a third party, an objective third party who watched me play against other pro-level players and doing my thing. Okay, now I got a little bit more credibility. Now there's people who actually give a damn and will pay attention to my name because of where I did it at. The bar is a little bit higher at the exposure camp than it was at the D3. Then, when I went and actually signed overseas and actually start playing in professional basketball games and doing things in those games, now people are perceiving me at an even higher level because they're like, okay, the bar for playing professional basketball is even higher, to the point that even people who didn't even pay attention to basketball, if I walk into a room and say, hey, I played professional basketball for this many years in this many places, now I got credibility automatically. Why? Because people see the bar as being so much higher just to achieve that thing, even if they don't pay attention to that thing. So I'm giving you all of that for you to understand that the perception of what you're doing is altered in the eyes of different people based on where you did it, how you did it, and what people think the bar is just to get into the room in certain areas, even if they don't know much about it themselves. So when you lower that bar, the value goes down, and the good people, back to the point that I was making earlier, they leave. I mean, think about this. What if just anybody could just go play in an NBA game? The Trailblazers against the Timberwolves, anybody could just get into the game. What would happen? Well, it would no longer be the NBA, right? Why? Because what makes the NBA is that when we turn on an NBA game, we know that we're watching the best of the best when it comes to playing basketball. That's what we know we're getting. That's why somebody who doesn't even pay that much attention to basketball would say yes if you offered them front row seats to go watch a basketball game, not because they know any of the players, not because they have money on the game, not because they play in a fantasy basketball league, but because they know that if you go to an NBA game, you're watching the best basketball players that exist, all in the same spot at the same time. So you know there's going to be a high level of quality to what they do. You don't even have to know what's going on, but you'll watch because it's the best of the best. Same thing with an NFL game or any other area of life where something or someone or some group or some league has a reputation for being the best of the best. And unconsciously in the minds of the consumers, even the people who don't follow that thing, they know, all right, the bar for even getting in here is so high that these people have to be really good at what they're doing. So I'll watch this even though I have no idea what the hell is going on. That's the way that it works. When you lower the standards and you expect less from people, that's pretty much exactly what you get. Less. People tend to live up to or down to the expectations placed upon them. So when the bar is high, people will raise themselves up to meet those standards. And when the bar is low, people who are high quality people, they will lower themselves down to the standards that are acceptable. Why? Because human beings, we are all lazy. We all want to conserve energy. We want to save it up unconsciously for the time we have to run away from the saber-tooth tiger, or we got to fight the rival caveman, even though that time is never coming. So if the standards are low, high quality people will perform at a low level simply because that's what you accept. If the standards are high, people who seem to be average or low quality people, all of a sudden they'll be performing at a high level simply because That's the standard you accept. You'll accept nothing less. And or those people will get the hell out of there because they know they can't meet it. It's going to be one or the other. Point number 2. Today's topic is never, ever lower the bar. Never, ever lower your standards in order to bring in more people to anything that you're doing. Understand that everything's not for everyone. What this means is this. It's okay to exclude people. Let me say that again. It's okay to exclude people. Exclusivity, ladies and gentlemen, creates value. More exclusivity equals higher value. For example, if you went to buy some clothes from Walmart, how much would they cost? You could probably get a whole outfit from Walmart right now. I'm talking shoes, socks, underwear, pants, shirt. What else you need? You want a hat? You want a scarf? You know, you can get all that for probably under $50. I mean, if you look on the right racks and the right bins. But if you go to, I don't know, the Gucci store and you want to buy an entire outfit, that's going to cost you, if you get it for under $50 at Walmart, it'll probably cost you a good $5,000 at the Gucci store. Why is that? Gucci is just more exclusive. It's not as available, and they're not trying to make it as available. The Walmart store is, who knows how much square footage a Walmart store is. I don't know, but they're pretty big stores, right? They're huge ass box style stores, but a Gucci store is going to be pretty small actually. And then the funny thing is, despite the fact that the Gucci store is so small, walk past one, and ain't even that many people in there. It's never crowded. Why? Because it's exclusive. All right, they don't want everybody to come in there and shop. They put some nice stuff in the window so the window shoppers can come by and look at it and maybe take pictures of themselves standing outside the store. But they know everybody's not going to come in the store because they know that everybody else knows they probably can't afford anything that's in the store, and that's the way that they want it. That exclusivity creates value. Now they both make money though. We all like to be a part of or have things that others do not. All right? We value things that are exclusive. We value the fact that we can be part of certain groups that other people can't be a part of. And the group doesn't have to be a certain thing like, it's just this group and nobody else can get in. It doesn't even have to be announced. Like I just talked about, playing college basketball, there's only 15 people on the basketball team. There are thousands of people on campus. Being on that team is an exclusive group. Being in a fraternity or sorority is an exclusive group. Being somebody who makes it to the pro level of a sport is an exclusive group. There are all these groups that we all have in our lives that you may not even consciously think about, but they're exclusive to the point that not everybody can be a part of them, and that gives it value. The more exclusive a group is, the higher the value, the perceived value of that group. And a lot of people, though, don't want to exclude anyone from the things that they're doing because we unconsciously believe that we will not find replacements for the people that we exclude. We won't replace them with anyone else, or that if we exclude too many people, we're missing out on whatever that person could offer. I want you to understand, yes, you could learn something from anybody. A broken clock is right at least 2 times a day. There's always something that you could get from every single person. But the problem is we do not have the time, the talent, we don't have the resources to dig into every single person that we come across to figure out what we can get from that person. Therefore, you should be wiser in your selections. Find somebody who you know you're going to get some value out of, not someone who you have to search for the value within them. Let me say that one again, because that's a good point. Find someone and surround yourself with the type of people whom you know you're getting value out of them. You can look at them and say, this is the value I'm going to get out of this person. I'm going to get this, and this. Not the person who you have no idea what value they offer, and you would have to dig. You had to go on an excavation project to figure out where the value is within this person. Or even though you'll probably find it, it'll cost you too much of your resources to figure out where it is. Find a person who already has it and is obvious. Deal with that person. And we got to be efficient here in life, right? The 80-20 rule. 80% of the value is going to come from 20% of the people. Don't go looking for the 20% of value out of the 80% people. That's a waste of time. We unconsciously feel like we can't find better people, so we don't exclude anybody. Then we settle for the less than ideal individuals out of fear that we won't find better people. Now, this happens in many, many areas. Any of you who runs a business and you hire people, you probably at one point made the mistake of hiring somebody who was less than what you wanted. You knew they were less than what you wanted. You told yourself before you hired them, this person is not the exact type of person I need, but I need somebody, so I'm going to just go with them. I'm going to just settle for this individual right here. And it ended up being a mistake. Did it or did it not? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Maybe some of you have gotten into a relationship, intimate relationship with a person who you knew was a less than ideal individual. Maybe you're still with them. A less than ideal individual, but you just didn't want to be by yourself. You didn't know if anybody better was going to come along. Maybe you felt like you were on the clock in some way in life. Maybe everyone else around you had somebody, so you felt the social pressure of being without somebody. So you settled for this individual and ended up being the wrong person. And again, maybe they're still the wrong person and you're still there. All right, maybe this will wake you up. We unconsciously feel like we can't find anyone better, so we settle for the less than ideal. Some of you, salespeople, entrepreneurs, freelancers, who can set your own prices at any number that you want, you are lowering your prices, or you have been going with lower prices in order to do what? Bring in more possible customers who end up not being worth the money that you make from them. And you don't want to raise your prices, because if you raise your prices, then you're going to lose out on a whole bunch of customers. Well, I'm here to tell you something. Yes, you will lose out on a whole bunch of customers, but you're losing out on customers that you don't want anyway. So that's the point of raising the price. You want to get rid of them so you can get better people. If you want better clients and you want better customers, you got to have better prices. All right, that's the way that it works. You got to have better products too. I'm assuming that you have a quality product. Okay, that's my assumption. Now, if your product is garbage, there's nothing I say that's going to change that. Well, work on your game and make a better product. That's what I can say. But other than that, I'm assuming you have a good product. If you want higher level clients, you want higher level customers, you want people who don't bitch and complain, people who don't nickel and dime you, people who are not headaches, you know where they are? They're the people who spend more money, not less money. So if you've been dealing with those type of customers, all you got to do, next time you deal with one of those customers, here's what I want you to do. Go look up and find out in your merchant processor or your email or whatever it is, whatever software platform you're running. Go find out how much money that person has spent with you. And then all you got to do is whatever product or service you're offering is raise your price so that it's higher than whatever that person spent. So then you're filtering out that person and anybody like them from bothering you in the future. I just solved your whole business problem right there in 30 seconds. I heard a person once say that anyone who's working in, let's say, the consulting, any type of consulting industry, whether that's one-on-one coaching, I'm putting all this under the consulting. That's where you're taking your knowledge and you're exchanging it for money. You're exchanging your direct application of your knowledge for somebody else's money. So consulting with a business, one-on-one coaching, personal training, professional speaking, all of that is under the umbrella of consulting. I heard a person say, if you want better clients, the first thing you have to do, you got to do the work to find those better clients. And this is what we're talking about here today. But it takes work. It takes effort to find people who are higher quality individuals, because not as many of them. They are fewer and further between than the low quality and the average individuals. If you haven't put the time in and done the work to get higher quality individuals around you, then there should be no mystery to you why you don't have any of them around. Why you can't find any of them. Why it seems like there are none of them in your circle, simply because you haven't done the work to get to them. Of course they're not around. What do you expect? This is not magic. So do the work to get the better people around you. And the easiest way you can start is to eliminate the wrong people. You got to create the vacuum. We talked about this. You got to create the space for the better people to come in. So to do that, the first step is you got to get rid of the wrong people. Get them out. Be empty for a little while. Now you got a vacuum. Now you have space. Now do the work to find the better people. Episode 1207, I talked about. Do not settle for good enough out of fear that you will not find better. Go listen to that episode and I articulate in even more detail what I just touched on. Point number 3, today's topic is do not lower the bar in order to bring in more people or give yourself more opportunity, if that's what you want to call it. That's not actually what you're doing. You're actually causing yourself more of a headache. Point number 3, here's the hard work you got to do. Finding people who fit your criteria or who want to strive to fit your criteria. This is the hard work that you have to do. This is the effort that you have to put in. So here's how you begin this. You first of all set your standards. What are your standards going to be? What bar do people need to clear in order to be involved with what you're doing? Then you go find the people. So step 1, set your standards. Step 2, go find the people who meet those standards, or the people who have the potential to meet those standards and they have the right attitude to do the work to meet those standards. By your assessment, okay, this person is not quite at the level that I need them to be at yet, but it looks like they have the potential to get there, so I'm gonna work with them. All right, maybe some of you have hired a person who fit that description. They didn't quite have all the skills you needed at that moment, but they were close And they had the right type of attitude, which meant they had a capacity to learn. They had the capacity to listen. They could be coached. They were a coachable individual. I did a whole episode on being coachable. This is the hard work that you have to do. Finding people who fit your criteria, or they have the attitude that shows they will do the work to get to the level where they fit your criteria. Set your standards. Go find those people. Don't look at the people and then base your standards on the people. Don't say, all right, I got these 10 people here, so my standard is going to be, this one right here. It's this person's average. I'll base my standard on that. No, don't do that. Because doing that means your bar, your standard is based on the quality of people who walk in the room. And the quality of people who walk in the room won't always be the same. So then your bar is always changing. Don't do that. What you need to do instead is you need to be a stickler. Or you need to be an asshole. You need to be a person who says, this is the bar, this is the standard, and anybody who does not meet this standard, you can't stay in here. You got to leave. How does a corporation choose a CEO? Or how does a sports team find a coach? A college or a pro sports team where the coaching position is actually a paid position. How do they find those people? How do they find a CEO, some corporation? Sometimes, every now and then they get lucky and the right person's right there under their noses, already working there, been there for some time already, or they just elevate somebody who was in the organization to begin with. Sometimes that happens, but oftentimes it doesn't. Oftentimes what they do is the corporation or the sports team, they go and canvas the landscape to find that person. They do a search. They send out a search team, a search party to find the right person. When I was in college, my sophomore year, basketball coach, the guy who had recruited me, lost his job. The school was looking for a new coach, and they said, we're going on a nationwide search for our next coach. And they did do a nationwide search. They said they had gotten like over 100 applications for this job at this Division III school, because they opened it up and they let everybody know, hey, we're looking for someone to coach this team, and we want to look at everybody. We want to see who's the best out there. Now, whether they chose the right guy or not is not for me to say. But the point that I'm making is they did a search. They didn't just say, all right, we're just going to take whoever's here. They said, no, we want to find the best possible candidate, and best is a relative term. So I guess you could say they made the best decision they could at that time, right? Sometimes the right person's right there, but otherwise you got to do the work. This is the work that you have to do to find the right person. If you're looking for a mate, maybe there's someone who's acceptable in your orbit right now, in your environment right now. Maybe they have already propositioned you directly or indirectly to be involved with you in some way. And maybe you'll settle for that acceptable individual. But if you're looking for the exceptional individual, you personally have to do some work to find that person. In relationships, I tell people, listen, you want to find the right person for a relationship, you got to become the right person that would match that type of person. That's the work that you have to do. Now, you could also do a nationwide search, I guess, on, I don't know, Match.com, Tinder. What's the other one? I can't even remember the name of it. They had a commercial on TV, but one of those, maybe you could do it that way. But the work is you got to go and look for who that person is going to be. Whether you're looking for a CEO, you're looking for some employees for your company, a coach for your sports team, a relationship partner, whoever it is, you have to do the work to find that individual. If you're not doing that hard work of finding that person, you're not doing the work of figuring out what your standards are and knowing exactly what you're looking for, no wonder you're not finding them, because you don't know what you want and you haven't done the work to actually go look. No wonder you haven't found them. Sometimes people say they can't find something. They haven't spent any time looking for it. Of course you can't find it. You're not looking for it. How do you expect? You think it's just going to drop out of the sky? Probably not. Now, some average acceptable things will drop out of the sky, but the exceptional, you got to go look for them. All right. They don't go walking around just wandering, waiting for somebody to find them. That's what makes them exceptional. They're not just wandering around waiting. The okay, the acceptable, they are. You can find plenty of them by default without doing much work. So if you look around at yourself and you look at the people who are around you, in your organization, in your groups, on your teams, partnered up with you, and they seem to be very acceptable, they're good, just acceptable, but not great, that's probably because you didn't do the hard work of finding the great people. You didn't do hard work. You did what was okay. You did what was acceptable. You did what was already around you by default, and that's why you got what you got. You want something better, you got to put the effort in. Let's recap today's topic, which is do not lower the bar. The worst thing you can do in life is lower your standards in order to cast a wider net, which is something that people seem to think is a better thing to do. That's not a better thing to do. What you should do instead is work harder at finding the people who can meet the requirements that you want met. Here's how. Number one, understand that when you raise the bar, you eliminate the worthless people, but when you lower the bar, you eliminate the good people. So think about it. When the standards are really high, the people who earn their way in take pride in the fact that they earn their way in. Not everybody can be there. When you lower the bar, the value is gone. What if anybody could just play in an NBA game? It wouldn't be the NBA anymore. The reason why the NBA is the NBA is because we know we're watching the best of the best. When the standards get lower, we no longer have that and the value goes away. Point number 2, everything is not for everyone, which means it's okay to exclude people. It's okay to tell people that this is not for them. Exclusivity creates value. More exclusive, higher value. We all like to be part of things that other people cannot be a part of. And a lot of people don't want to exclude anyone because we unconsciously have a scarcity mindset that we won't be able to find anything better. We settle for less than ideal out of fear. Episode 1207, I talked about this. Go listen to it. Point number 3. Here's the hard work you got to do. Finding the people who fit your criteria or at least want to fit your criteria based on their attitude. Figure out what your standards are. Then go find the people who can meet those standards. Do not look at the people you already have and just settle for the best you can find there. Set the standards, then go find the people who can meet those standards. This is effort. This is hard work, people, and it will take time. If you have not done it yet, that should explain to you 100% why you have the people around you that you have around you. Searching is work. Understand the key mental toughness idea is the word until. You will do your search and keep looking and hold your standards high until you find the people who can reach it. You will not do it, all right, let me just try, let me talk to 3 people and I'll pick the best out of the 3, or let me try for a month and I don't find anybody, I'll just take whoever is available. No, don't do that. The key mental toughness word is until. You will keep looking until you find the people who match what exactly you need and what exactly you're looking for. And if you have not done that work yet, that should tell you perfectly why you're surrounded by who you're surrounded by. Work on your game. Dre all day.